Today, I want to take you on a journey to Varanasi, one of the oldest living cities in the entire world. You might also know it as Kashi or Banaras. Now, this is a place where history isn't just locked away in books, it's literally painted right onto the city itself, creating this incredible, vibrant, living museum. So, let's get started. Just imagine you're walking through these ancient streets. In Varanasi, art isn't something you have to go find in a stuffy gallery. Nope. It lives and breathes on the walls of temples, on the fronts of people's homes, and out in the busy public squares. The whole city is like a public storybook, open for everyone to read. So, for the first part of our trip, let's just stop for a minute. We're going to look a little closer at these amazing paintings. We're going to learn how to read their unique language and really understand the tales they're trying to tell us. So, what are these walls actually saying? Well, they're these incredible tapestries of life. You'll see these grand, epic tales of gods like Shiva and Durga right next to quiet little moments from nature. You'll find symbols meant to bring good fortune, and even scenes from the everyday lives of the people who call this city home. Okay, now this is what I find absolutely fascinating. This art isn't just for decoration. It has this really practical social purpose. Think about it like this. The mural on a house is kind of like a nameplate. A milkman's home, it might show strong rustlers and cattle, celebrating a life of physical work. But a businessman's wall could have a painting of someone weighing goods, a super clear sign of their trade. The whole city is like a visual directory, painted right onto the buildings. And animals play a huge role in this visual language. Of course, you've got the sacred cow, a powerful symbol of divinity, but you'll also spot elephants, which represent royalty and fertility, fish, which are a sign of wealth and abundance, and even parrots, which often show up as little messengers of love. Each one adds another layer to the story. This quote really just hits the nail on the head. In the narrow, winding lanes of Benares, these murals are an incredibly powerful way to communicate. They're basically storyboards that preserve culture, faith, and tradition for everyone to see and understand, and you don't need a single written word to get it. Okay, so we've seen what's on these walls, but what about how they're made? That's a whole other story, and it's a process rooted in natural materials and just incredible skill. What's amazing is that the artists of Benares have traditionally worked with the earth itself. The wall is prepped with a base of mud and cow dung, and the colors, they don't come from a tube. They're actually extracted from flowers, herbs, and different minerals. This completely organic palette is what gives the paintings their unique texture and this really deep sense of spirituality. So making one of these murals is this really careful three-stage process. It all starts with the confident hand of an artist sketching out the entire vision right there on the wall. Then, layer by layer, these vibrant natural colors are applied, building up this rich, shining surface. And finally, when everything's dry, they go in with a super fine brush to add all the delicate details that really bring the scene to life. It takes so much patience. Just look at this. This is where it all starts. There's really no room for error here. You can see the artist's hand moving with this steady confidence, just laying down the foundational lines that are going to guide the whole piece. It's really a pure act of creation. And then, boom, the scene just bursts into life. You can almost feel the texture of these organic paints as they're mixed and brushed onto the wall. Each and every layer of color adds more depth, more vibrancy, and it slowly transforms a simple sketch into a radiant masterpiece. Now, this art form, it's not something that just appeared out of nowhere. It has this long, incredibly resilient history that has weathered centuries of change. So let's take a quick step back in time and understand its journey. You can trace the artistic roots in this region way, way back. We're talking ancient times, from terracotta artifacts found nearby. The tradition really struggled during the Mughal period, and a lot of the art was lost. But then, it saw this major revival in the 18th and 19th centuries, absorbing all these new influences and just flourishing again. And that brings us to today, where this age-old art form continues to adapt and evolve. So that brings up a really important question. How do we make sure this incredible cultural heritage actually survives for future generations to see? Well, let's look at a major step that's just been taken to protect it. Okay, so this logo you're seeing, it's for something called a geographical indication, or a GI tag. The easiest way to think about it is like a stamp of authenticity. It's an official certificate that guarantees that a product, in this case a mural, comes from a specific place, Varanasi, and has all the unique qualities and traditions of that region. And this isn't just some concept, it's the real deal. It's official. On March 30th, 2024, Banaras Mural Painting was registered with the Geographical Indication number 1033. This number, it represents a huge milestone in preserving this art form. So why is this little tag such a big deal? Well, because it protects the actual livelihood of the local artists. It makes sure their unique skills are recognized and valued, and it safeguards their economic rights. It preserves a cultural legacy that has been passed down from one generation to the next. We've seen how the walls of Varanasi tell this incredibly rich and complex story of its people. And it kind of makes you think, right? If the buildings in your own town or your own city could speak through art, what stories do you think they would choose to tell about your community?